Hey guys, welcome to my review for the movie Dune 2021. Everyone's been looking forward to this, including yours truly. This movie has huge cast. This movie stars Timothée Chalamet, Josh Brolin, Zendaya, Dave Bautista, Rebecca Ferguson, Javier Bardem, Oscar Isaac, Jason Momoa. Huge cast. And this movie is directed by one of the great modern filmmakers of our time, Denis Villeneuve. This guy's given us amazing films like Incendies, Sicario, Prisoners, Arrival, Blade Runner 2049, my personal favorite. Prisoners, did I say Prisoners? I think I did, but Denis Villeneuve. Uh, Dune is a movie I don't know a lot about. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know a lot about Dune. I don't. I've seen the David Lynch movie, and it's terrible. It's a really bad movie, and that is my knowledge on Dune. Is the David Lynch movie a really bad movie with a worm monster that looks like a vagina? Dune, I was really excited for this movie though. And I'm not excited for a lot of current films because current films these days are just to me. But I was very excited for this Dune movie because it's Denis Villeneuve, and it looked like an epic, and it looked like a really cool sci-fi story. And I'm like, well, it can't be any worse than that David Lynch movie. The story of this movie is so hard to explain without spoiling almost most of the film. I can be very vague, and it's about a noble son entrusted to protect one of the most valuable assets and vital thing that enemies want, and it's the most powerful thing in the galaxy. Very vague. He travels to one of the most distant, dangerous planets in the galaxy, and there's these different houses that all want different plans, and it's building up to a war between all these houses and these people, and these creatures. There's creatures in this movie that are really fucking cool, by the way. It's complicated. It's like explaining Game of Thrones. It's very hard to explain Game of Thrones without going into like a 45-minute description about it. And that's a whole television show. Dune is just a 2.5 hour film, but so much happens and so much doesn't happen. It's super hard to explain. Just go in. And if you know the whole source material, you won't be disappointed because apparently it's extremely loyal to the book and to the everything. It's very a good adaptation. Apparently, that's what a lot of people are saying. And if you don't know anything about it, just go in blind. See the trailers. If it looks like a movie for you, go check it out. Okay, Dune. How do I talk about this movie? Because everybody is hyping this film, calling it a sci-fi masterpiece. Kind of like when Blade Runner 2049 came out, and I was on the side of positivity for Blade Runner 2049. I think that movie still is a terrific film. It did the impossible. It gave a sequel to a movie that never needed a sequel. Blade Runner, my favorite film of all time. In Dune, a lot of people say Dune is a movie that is an adaptation of a book that can't be adapted to a film. Because we saw with David Lynch, it can't be adapted, but this movie did the impossible. It did what Ang Lee did with Life of Pi. I just... So people are... oh my God. I don't want to say too much because I know people are going to get so angry from the word I'm going to use. And they shouldn't get angry because it's all subjective. But I found this movie disappointing. Really, I did. It's not a bad movie. Not in the slightest bit, actually. It's actually extremely well made and very well acted. And where it's building to, I'm very invested. But, okay. This is how I'm going to explain myself and how I feel about this movie. I'm going to give you guys 3 examples, like 3 films. Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. These are all 3 beginning films in their franchises. and they all like are standalone films, and they all do what a first film should do: establish its characters, build on the worlds, and invest us in the story so we want to come back for more. Fellowship of the Ring is my favorite Lord of the Rings movie. And in a 3-hour film, that movie puts a lot of shit in it. It talks about the backstory of the ring, about Sauron. They travel to different countries in Middle Earth, like Rivendell, the Shire. They go to the Mines of Moria. Like, there's a lot going on in Fellowship of the Ring, and it never feels jumbled or confused. Like, you never get confused at what's happening in Fellowship of the Ring. And even though the movie ends, like, you know there's going to be another one, the Fellowship is broken, and that story of Fellowship of the Ring is done, and it feels like its own standalone story. And that's why Fellowship of the Ring Fellowship of the Ring works so well, because it's such a great beginning chapter to the Lord of the Rings trilogy. The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion the Witch, and the Wardrobe is a terrific standalone film. It actually doesn't even need its sequels. It is a great standalone film. It's a great world of Narnia, 4 great characters of Peter, Susan, Lucy, and Edmund, these 4 kids during the World War, and they find this mystical fantasy world that's also in a war between the White Witch and Aslan. Like, it's such an epic and timeless and beautiful family story that has a great ending. You're like, oh my god. And it works as a standalone film, and there is sequels to it that are actually good, but it works as a standalone movie. And Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, it established the world of Hogwarts and these great characters and great creatures, and just it brought you into the world of Harry Potter, and it's just such a lovable film. A lot of people, yes, like Prisoner of Azkaban, Death Elves Part 2 is most people's favorites, but everybody loves Philosopher's Stone. It's such a great beginning chapter to Harry Potter, and it's a great standalone film. Dune is a great film, but it doesn't stand as a standalone film because the whole movie is build up to the next movie. And it's like this movie is like The Two Towers or A Mockingjay Part 1 or Death Elves Part 1. All great films, but they're films you watch when you're like binging Hunger Games or Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. Like, when I watch Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, I can watch as a standalone film. Don't even need to watch the second and third one. Return of the King, I can watch as a standalone film. Don't even need to watch the first, second one. Two Towers, I never watch as a standalone film. I have to watch it when I'm watching the trilogy. Just, it feels like this middle chapter that, I don't know, just doesn't work as itself like the first and third one does. And that's just my opinion, obviously. And the same with like Death Elves Part 1. I love Harry Potter and the Death Elves Part 1. But that whole movie is build up to part 2. That's what Deathly Hallows Part 1 is. I consider Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2 just one big movie. But Deathly Hallows Part 1 is not just like a film I'm going to watch on its own and that's it. Because I have to watch Deathly Hallows Part 2 right after. This is what Dune is. It's like Deathly Hallows Part 1, but we don't have the Part 2 yet. We're waiting for it. This entire movie does establish its world and characters, but all the really good stuff's not till the next movie. So it's a Part 1. And the marketing didn't say it was a Part 1. And when the movie starts, it is a Part 1, and it tells you it is a Part 1. But it feels like a Part 1. And as much as I enjoyed some of these characters, there wasn't enough development for a lot of characters, because there's so many. I wish there was more development for other characters. Like, they focus on, like, some of the key players and the main character, Timothée Chalamet's character. But there's a lot of characters I actually enjoyed, but I wish got more screen time. Like, I want to know more about these people. And the film doesn't do that, which sucks. And the world is... The visuals in this movie are so beautiful and so amazing. There's a lot of sand. It sounds funny to say that. A lot of sand in this movie. A lot of sand. Lots of sand. Yes, there's ruins and buildings within the sand, but just a lot of sand. It's like being on Tatooine, the whole movie. It's like when I watched like Lord of the Rings, I remember the Shire, Rivendell, and the Mines of Moria. Like they're all so different locations, and they're just so beautiful. Even Narnia has like different locations and how they do like the summer and the winter. It's so different. Even Harry Potter, like there are a lot of aspects of Hogwarts that are different than Diagon Alley and stuff. But Dune is just it's a lot of sand. It's a lot of repetitive sand.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
It's nice sand. It's nice and just the visuals are fantastic. The cinematography in this movie is spectacular. Like there are a lot of like shots that like look like something out of an art piece. It's beautiful, and the action in this movie when there's action is kick ass. And again, the performances are all really good, especially Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa was my favorite in this movie. He was great. I really enjoyed him in this film, and everyone's good. I just wish some characters. I'm not gonna tell you who gets less screen time than others because that's technically a spoiler. But there are other characters in this movie that needed more screen time, and they do not get it. And again, they do the typical thing like, "I'll see you in the sequel." And again, the movie ends also like something big's gonna happen, but I'll meet you in the next film. Like, oh, come on now. Like, you were building to something. The whole movie you're building to something, and the movie kind of leaves you with, like, these blue balls. It's, for me. And a lot of people don't see it that way. Like, I've seen it in reviews, and a lot of people talk about this movie. They're just like, this is just a visual experience with great atmosphere, great action, and it's just establishing this great world and this big epic story we're about to get into. And that's the way a lot of people see it, and a lot of people talk about. I see where they're coming from, but I consider a lot of this movie just blue balls. Like, there's a lot of slow moments, but this is Denis Villeneuve. He's amazing at slow pace, and I love slow pace movies sometimes. This one just, I feel like there's a lot of things that just go on and on and on. I'm like, okay. And some of the characters they do focus on, I just don't care about, but and then there's characters I do care about, and they don't focus enough on them, and just like, oh, come on, go back to that character. He's awesome. The movie feels very Game of Thrones too, like I call it the houses because it just feels like House Targaryen, House Lannister. Like, it's very Game of Thrones, but like Game of Thrones, like if this was an HBO television show and this 2.5 hour movie was like the first 2.5 hour premiere episode, this would be amazing. But it's not. It's a movie. It's a standalone movie. But like if this was a show, I think this would be a great television show. But it's a movie, and it's gonna be a movie franchise if this movie makes a lot of money. Which I'm fine for. Like I want to see a sequel. I want to see where it's going. Like I just wish there was more in this movie. Like I want to see where it's going, and I want to see what the fuck's gonna happen. But we don't get it in this movie. It just kind of leaves you with, here you go. It's kind of like someone giving you a hand job but stopping halfway through. I want that payoff, man. But there was stuff I really enjoyed. Like the score is fantastic. This movie's beautiful. It's beautiful. Technically, the technical achievements in this film are sensational. Denis Villeneuve is a fantastic director. Like he's amazing. Like you know what? Like yeah, this movie was a bit of a disappointment. I still liked it quite a bit. And sure, this is no Blade Runner or Arrival or something, but I'm glad he did. He takes risks. That's why I love Denis Villeneuve. He's a risk taker. And, like, you know what? Fucking respect this man. He did a heck of a job. Like, this is no Interstellar. Like, Interstellar just sucked. And Tenet. I didn't like Tenet either. This is, like, a way better movie. Those movies are just, like, a bunch of nothing happening. This movie, stuff's happening just at a very snail speed. Things are happening just very slowly. And when something big is going to happen, the movie just kind of ends and you're just like, fuck. But again, the action's good. The costumes are really cool. The makeup's great. Chalamet's a great lead. I liked Rebecca Ferguson. Jason Momoa, again, like I said, was my favorite. Does a lot of good stuff. I'm curious to see the sequel, Dune Part 2, or whatever the fuck they're gonna call it. It was good. Had fun with it for the most part. I just wanted a lot more from it, and I think I went into this movie way too high expectations, and that is my fault. I thought I was gonna get this like epic sci-fi adventure story, like a Lord of the Rings meets like a Blade Runner or some shit like that, and I didn't fully get that. It's still a good movie. It's still recommended, and people are loving this film. People are loving it, and that's fine. They're like, I get it. I understand. But to me, it was a bit of a disappointment. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give Dune a 7.8 out of 10. I think it's a fair grade. I wanted a 10 out of 10 out of this one. Couldn't quite get there. I got to be true to myself. I'm not going to give you a BS review, guys. This is my thoughts and opinions. This is not objective. This is completely opinion. And I don't want to give it 10 out of 10 just because everyone else gives it 10 out of 10. And I'm also not going to be a rebellious guy, like, everyone else likes it. Oh, I hate it. No, I liked a lot of things in it. I just wanted more. So there's my thoughts on Dune 2021. Give me thoughts and opinions. Are you a fan of Dune? Are you a fan of the book? What kind of characters do you like? Who's your favorite character in Dune, the movie, and Dune, the book? Give me thoughts and opinions. Comment below. Let me know. And as always, if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and join the dark side.